So when you hear that, it goes against like the perception or the format that we believe is happening. Yeah, we believe there are real solid things outside of us, and that we're a real solid thing outside of us, basically, because we may not think we're a body, we're somehow in a body, so the body would be the outside of us. Yeah, but if you follow the Buddhist take, everything is inherently empty, and empty of what? It's absent of its own existence. It has no existence, therefore no meaning. Yeah. So the only place it can come up with a meaning is it has to be given to. The meaning has to be given to it from what is meaningful or from what has meaning. Yeah. The reality lends itself to things through the identification as this thing. So the reality, it's not the reality, let's just call it reality for the lack of a better name. So the reality lends itself, reality, to things through identification as a thing. Yeah? Just like when I saw that uncle when I was younger in the casket, and he obviously had passed away, and when I saw the body, I had a very direct hit that wasn't Uncle Fred. I recognized the absence of something that was essential. The body was just inert. While that life was in it, I identified that life as the body because I was in the identification with life as this body. Yeah? When I saw the life that was out of the body, I realized that wasn't Uncle Fred, the body. It was a mistaken identification from a mistaken identification. So this was mistakenly me, and therefore I projected that on him, and I would have probably gone on projecting that on him, but the life had left that body, and it was clear as day that wasn't Uncle Fred. Yeah. So there's a simple example. I take myself to be a thing, therefore I see Marco as a thing. Yeah? They're not like two random events, they're connected. When I see this as a thing, when I see what I am as a thing, I see other what I ams as a thing. Yeah? I beget thingness onto them. Again, so you can see how things happen, and then you may run into a book or a person or an old scripture or maybe just a download in and of yourself where things will be corrected. Like the misperceptions will be corrected by a statement that you and I give everything all the meaning it has. That's incredibly different than your experience, usually. Your experience seems like, let's say you meet a woman or a guy, and let's say that woman or a guy sees you as an urban renewal project, you know? They want to make you the guy or the woman that the person sees, yeah? And so you feel like they're imposing themselves on you. But that's just a real mistaken, habitual misperception, because if you took it back to the root, which is, I'm giving everything all the meaning it has, well, I'm giving that person the ability or the meaning to impose its will on me, in a sense. Yeah. Now, if there doesn't seem any way out of it, then you've got to take like sort of ways to lighten the load. But if you keep practicing the principle, yeah, the principle will now start outshining the consequences and the circumstances, which are all misinformed and misperceived based on identification as what you're not. So you can't really rely on how you think and how you feel, and how many times did you feel so right about someone, and then 3 days later you feel so fucking wrong about them, you know? It's just like, it's not to be trusted, basically, in a lot of ways, your perceptions and your thoughts and your feelings, because they've been engineered or programmed to see things as reality. And not to see no thing, therefore not giving it much of a reality. Yeah. So if I can't see it, feel it, taste it, touch it, and smell it, it's not real. Yeah? Yet the reality can't be seen, tasted, touched, felt, or smelled. Yeah? But in our dream, we think the reality is, this is the test. I can touch it, I can feel it, I can see it. It's substantial, it's rock solid, that's reality. But it's totally ass backwards. Yeah? And then you wonder why it seems so difficult at times to travel here. Because we're sort of like we got all the maps to LA, but we're walking the exact opposite way. Why is it taking so long to get there? Someone told me it was only a few minutes. Why is it? Because you're going the exact opposite way. It's like Bizarro World, like in DC Comics, Everything is backwards. So this idea of, I experience it, therefore it's real. No, that's like that guy Descartes, I think, therefore I am. As a very limited statement, that's off the wall. To have the verification of my being by the act of thinking is insanity to me. You know what I mean? I think, therefore I'm fucked would be better, But I think, therefore I am. I don't buy that whatsoever. It's, I think, therefore I was and I will be, basically. You know what I mean? If I'm having faith in a thought system, I'm wasn't and I'm willing more than I am in. So these things that you run into, and hopefully sometimes here, we're repeating corrections, so that you don't try to find the solution from what's making the problem. You know what I mean? Like it's like Einstein said, or in recovery we say, self can't get out of self, Or it points out in recovery, the problem resides in the mind. So why do you go to the mind to try to figure it out? I mean, that would be the last place you should look for any kind of solution from it, You have to go somewhere else. But if all we think is we're an experiential being dominated by a mental state, then our possibilities are somewhat limited. Because there's all these other modalities and states that are not based on experience, They're not based on time. They're not based on a doing and having to get somewhere. They're not based on everything that we've become accustomed to and we've lent the reality to. We won't find them with the tools and the gauges and the barometers of this place. You won't pick it up. You won't pick up the presence. Yet you're like the fish in the water. You're totally immersed in it, but you won't have any sense of it. So it doesn't. I was speaking to a guy on that radio, I think it was tonight, where what good does it do the fish to think that, to have a mental understanding that it's totally immersed in water when it's totally immersed in water? You know what I mean? I would think being totally immersed in water would have more of an impact than thinking that I'm totally immersed in water, or thinking when the shit hits the fan, there's nobody that's doing it. That's a feeble understanding. It's like using it like a salve to get some relief. It's helpful, but that's not it. The relief is prior to the need for a salve, It's prior to the agitation. It's not after the agitation. Relief that's after the agitation is just before another agitation that's going to be after and after and after. But what's way before the agitation is where the real relief is. So the real relief is. So now, whatever my eyes are telling me, I don't have incredible faith in. Whatever my thoughts are telling me, I don't have incredible faith in. What my feelings are, first of all, the feelings aren't saying anything. They're being thought about by the mental system. And then it tells me, oh, you're really pissed off, whatever it is, or some fucking story about it. By then, it's like, it was 8 hours ago. So now I'm just simmering it with some mental agitation. I had no clue what was going on. But that's the real uncomfortability. We want to know. Even if it's totally wrong, at least we know, But the highest level of mind in Zen is, I don't know. He goes, why? What happens if you sincerely don't know? You're open to finding out. And finding out is much more convincing. Knowing is sort of like end of the story. So I read this thing. No, not this. This book is full of treasures. This is not any ordinary book. But if I'm reading this thing and I go, oh, I know what he's saying, that's it. No, that's not it. The knowing is not even close to a preliminary. Yeah, it's actually could be self-defeating because you're going to have to unknow what you know sooner or later anyway. Because this is more of an economizing and a paring down. Yeah, this can, if you read it, it can set off like a sense or an aha. That's all right because now you're working in the real communication center of mind, which is an image. You're triggering a feeling or a sense. Yeah, that's different. Yeah. That has, like they say, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. You better freaking believe it, because the mind really communicates in images. So when something is said, there's a picture that registers, and then you, aha! I got that. You can't grab it, and you can't break it into 500 words, but you have it more than digested 8,000 pages of stuff. Yeah. It just becomes like in your gut, it's like very convincing. Finding out is incredibly convincing when knowing isn't convincing. It can be convincing and then 5 minutes later you're totally unconvinced. Yeah? Because you can't escape the coin of the realm, of the mental realm. You're dealing in split mind currency. So this side is always going to lead to that side. You can't, no matter how many times you cut the coin, it's still two-sided. Yeah? So it's going to be, I'm thoroughly convinced, and then you're unconvinced. I've seen people, and they were at the moment totally convinced they were not going to have a drink again, and 2 hours later they're drinking again. Yeah, because there's no power behind it. It's knowing. There's no power behind it. Finding out has the ability to become very convincing, which means to believe with certainty. That's substantial. Something can get built on that. It's not shifting sand like Jesus warned us. Don't build your house on sand. Yeah. Well, the mental state, the emotional state, circumstantial state, financial states are all on sand. They're always shifting with a lot of variables. There's no place you're going to really rest in a house built on that. Yeah. So prior is the freedom. Before, and from the freedom's point of view, there is no problem. From the problem's point of view, there's a lot of problems. Yeah, we can't even distill it into the problem, which that's what AA says. AA says you'll be relieved of the problem, but we have lots of problems because we are the problem. Yeah. So, but in this case, it's much different. From a solution, there is no problem. From the problem, there's a real need for a solution. So, you come here, or you do other things, with the hopes of having a solution to your not yours, but irritability, restlessness, discontent, a sense of my attention always being in yesterday or tomorrow, not being able to marshal up the ability to be here even though I can't escape here, those kinds of disquiet, uncomfortable senses. Yeah. So from the problem, you need a freaking solution. But this solution is incredible because when you entertain it, it informs you there is no problem. And therefore, hence, it sort of blows itself up. Because the next thing from there is no problem, then what's next? There's no need for a solution. That's the solution. Yeah? You see how economical it is? You don't even get stuck with a solution that maybe you'll lose, or I didn't polish it enough today, where your head will be playing God with the solution all fucking day. You don't even have that little thing. And you're not giving the mental state anything. Yeah? You're not giving it anything to sort of go, I'm connected or disconnected. Yeah? You realize you can't be out of the moment, so there's no, I'm really close to the moment. If I would have just had 10 more minutes to meditate, But my aging grandmother needed her pillows, and I said, fuck her, I gotta be in this moment. That was the moment. That was the invitation. Give up what you were doing. That's what happened today. I was doing something, and I had a long day, so I wanted to lay down. Because I have a good reason to want to lay down. I have 2 bad legs, I want to put them up. My window, my shade was open, and then the birds, I saw the food had run out. And they have like delicacies up there. There's 3 different kinds that I feed them with. And there was this poor bird on one of the perches, and it wouldn't eat the ones that were left. It was too lower than his standards. And he was looking at where I usually have this other thing, and there was nothing there. And you could see his poor mind couldn't understand where that food that's always there isn't there. And he actually flew towards it, and halfway he realized, there's nothing there, and he flew back. And I said, fuck it, I got to get up and feed those fuckers. I mean, they're having a difficult time. It's every day. It's there. What? I could see this little head with his beak going. And it's like faking, like, but there's nowhere to land to eat it. There's no food. Oh, I could get up there, feed it. And then they all leave, and then they're back, and now they don't look in the window, give thanks, leave. Oh, yeah. Thank you. No, they're just eating, because they've become reliant on the food always being there, and I attempt to deliver the goods to take that giant concern out of their little small lives, Give them some, they like to take baths, so we have plenty of water, and we feed them. And then the other 2 instincts, God help them, whatever, they don't get eaten and they have a place to sleep. But at least they get shelter, food and a shower, water. It's the least I can do. And I love watching them, because they're trippy as hell. They're just being driven by awareness, yet without such a, like this guy said today, just because I can think about something doesn't mean I'm outside of it. That's what the thinking does. You feel when you think, when you self-reflect, you feel like you're removed from the mix. They don't have that. The birds don't feel like they're removed from the mix. They're totally in the mix without any possibility of thinking outside the mix. And in a way, it's like a great sage without knowing it. It's so funny how it works. This one bird eats this food, and they're very sloppy. It lands on this plate below, and these other birds, it's like manna from heaven. If they had a God, they would write a scripture like an Old Testament. Oh, we were in the desert of 407 shoreline, then manna from heaven came. No, it was the other birds, and it fell there, and they eat it there. You know what I mean? And it seems to all work. Yet they're not going over to a twig and then reflecting. Am I a good enough bird? I like all these other birds. Fuck these birds. I don't like those birds. I don't like any. They're in the mix and they can't. But we have thought, and in a way we think it excludes us from what's going on. Like we're an observer, an innocent bystander, when we're the reality. Yeah? We are the reality. You tell me what else is giving meaning to things. You tell me. Follow the trail. Your experience of this event, is the event that's given you the experience, or is it your experience of the event? Because if it was the event, we don't have the same experience. If the event had its own quality, it would impose its quality on us. But it doesn't have a quality. It's just something that's going on, and each one of us is going to give it the meaning it has for us. And that's not a random little sample. It's all the time. If you look back, you're at every scene of every crime you've ever been in. You're the one who was in every one of those relationships that didn't work. Yes? You heard the party was really good, but when you got there, it sucked. Yes? You got to put it together. You have a huge role in your life. Maybe people want to have cash register honesty, but how about being honest and respond to the ability that you truly exhibit every day, giving meaning to things? Could you imagine if you turned that ability onto no thing and gave it a meaning, like importance or worthiness or, I think I'm going to look into that, what would happen? Can you imagine after everything that I've ever given any meaning to was always inherently empty? Suddenly, I turn around and I give meaning to what's inherently full. See what happens. Yeah? See what happens with the incessant ability we have to give meaning to things, to have that ability turn to what's really so. Yeah. See what happens then. Yeah. So the thinking about something seems to exit you from the event, yes? You go home about it, and you think about the day, and it's as if you're observing something that was there, but without you in it, in a way, not seeing your role in anything. AA does a very primitive way of looking, hey, listen, instead of bitching about that person and what they did or didn't do, look in your role in it. And just that little shift of putting the light on someone else or something else and putting it on you, a huge amount of relief is possible. That was never possible, being super right about who fucked you and what they did. And if I wouldn't have done that, that wouldn't happen. There's no fucking power in that. But seeing your role in it has a huge amount of power, because what's included there is you. The one role you weren't paying attention to while you were busy blaming them and the situation, you were excluding you in some way. And you're the source of all power and relief. So when you include you, you see things differently. Like someone would say, why, something happens to you and you keep asking why. Why not? Where is it written that you get an exemption from what other people go through? What crowns you a special case other than your mental state telling you you're special with absolutely no power at all? So Jesus says, as you think, so it is. That's a powerful statement, As you think, so it is. You know how much power that is? As you think, so it is. It's done according to your belief. So they was talking about a specific called healing, but you could apply that to anything. Everything is done according to your belief. Everything isn't done according to its belief because it doesn't have a belief. Yeah. Everything is done according to your belief. It's like this thing in recovery, it says, God could and would if he were sought. Yeah? So God is just representing whatever, power, or whatever you want to call it, spirit, awareness. So here's a statement. God could and would, but here's the requirement, if it's sought. So if you're not seeking it, it doesn't matter if God could or would. It ain't going to happen. Yeah? It's sort of like, here I am on an island, I'm abandoned here, I shipwrecked on this island, yeah, and I see a big boat coming that could possibly save me, but I can't communicate with it. I got to have a light. That's my interest and attention. I point my light towards that, and what happens? It responds in kind. A larger light appears, and now the boat comes and saves my ass. Yeah. But if I didn't turn my light towards that, then the light wouldn't activate in my life. Yeah. I have to turn my attention and interest. So if your interest and attention is into self or self-centeredness, you're basically up the ass to self. None of your interest and attention is pointing to the big light. And it's just an example. Therefore, it's not getting beckoned. And therefore, all the possibilities that it implies cannot actualize without one quality, which is your attention, your interest. A little bit of your interest goes a long freaking way. I don't need a huge light to get in touch with the big light. All I need is a little light, and just have the inclination to pointing it in this direction, which means to come out of the ass of self, instead of having all my light turned on this object all day, and be engaged in self-reflection. Self-reflection. In other words, you being used to reflect self all day. Yeah? What is that beacon? What is that beckoning? Fucking parasites like alcoholism, like a lot of character defects, like jealousy and anger. That's what it's beckoning, that attention and interest. You know? I could and would be fucked. Yeah? If my attention goes there, I could be fucked. So now, I've shown it, and it doesn't say finding anything, it's just seeking. All your job is to, okay, perhaps there is a better way, like it says in recovery. For the relief from fear. It says, all right, why are you in so much fear today? You want to know why? I'm going to break the news to you. Because your self-reliance has failed you. End of story. All right, then it says, perhaps there's a better way. What way is he talking about? The way of reliance on self. How do you rely on self? What is the act of relying on self? It's following the thoughts in one's head. It's paying attention and having a keen interest and believing those thoughts that are talking about me and you and the food at the restaurant I was and the knee and this and that and da. My interest and attention is that it's going to be done according to my belief. Yes? As I thinketh, therefore it will be. Jesus, that's a dangerous juice to be given to such a failed system. Yeah? I'd much rather realize, hey, I don't want it to go that way. I can't seem to move it. Yeah? So I'm just going to say, I don't want it to go that way, and maybe let's see what happens. So perhaps there's a better way. What is it? Trusting something infinite rather than yourself. All right, the mental state is very finite. It's all about time, yesterday and tomorrow. But the big M mind is infinite, let's say, and timeless. Why not trust that? Then your interested attention will break the slavery of self and start moving. And as it moves to the winning side, so to speak, there'll be demonstrations of its wonders and its amazements. And there you build a little temporary altar and honor it and say, Jesus Christ, something's changing. Instead of going back to the same old story about how it's never going to get different, honor it when it demonstrates that, hey, perhaps there is a better way, and here it is. This is what's going on. Honor it. And it will speed up the interest and attention being taken out of this failed company and put into a workable, very resourceful, very innovative company. Yes? Then you'll know serenity, comprehend peace. You'll have a new freedom and a new happiness. Not the same old freedom and happiness, but with a different noun involved. Well, I'm with Mary now. This is my 12th relationship. I've been looking for freedom and happiness, every one of them. So I think it's a new one because it's a new person, but it's the same old. I'm trying to milk the same old dead cow and get some good milk. No, a new freedom and a new happiness. It ain't going to probably look like you think. That's why it works. And all you do is sign up for one day at a time. Not even. You lose track of days. Now it's just one moment, basically. And the one basis of every part of that moment, if you break it down to years and epochs and eras and eons, is the same base. The ever-present onness or awareness that's behind everything. The one screen that all the movies, all the films are being entertained on. The one base denominator, onness or awareness. Yeah? Interest and attention goes there, and you know what happens? Maybe the habit is to take off, but it realizes it's always available at all times. It finally responds in kind and starts resting in it. You finally get rest in your being, you know? You rest in your being. It's like being replenished in a sense. Yeah? You have plenty of attention and interest to deal with the things that happen today. You probably don't have to deal with all of yesterday's and tomorrow's, but they're not happening. So why constantly pay attention to what's beckoning? Oh, you should have fear. That's going to happen. Oh, you should have resentments or regret. That happened. Why spend so much time in that dead end, nowhere going, porno fucking movie, smelly juju B and lousy popcorn B movie that you're starring in? Why not become a cameo performance in an epic? Yeah? Stop being the brush and realize you're connected and being moved by the artist. Yeah? And have faith in the process. See what happens. It's not the thing that says, oh, God will never give you more than you can handle. How about God will never give you more than it can handle? Yeah. Because it sure looks like God gives you a whole lot more than you can handle, because I can't handle much. But God will never give, it can handle anything that it gives itself. And that's actually what's going on. Yeah. So we're doing the same thing as that, but silently. We're not proclaiming anything outside. We're abiding in it, in the quietude and in the silence, which is the source of all notes and all sounds. You rest there, and you will learn to rest, because it's not in the process of completion. It's done. It's not in time. It's timeless. It's not in the beginning of its growth or the end of its growth. It's always holistically complete. It's the appropriate response is relax. Yeah. All the focused apertures can open up and just take in the space. Yeah. All, who gives a shit about it will be well or it was well? All is well. In spite of circumstances and appearances, in spite of feelings, in spite of thoughts, everything is all is well. Let it resonate. And watch the Downing Committee arise and try to take it apart and see that's not you. Why be so beholden to those mental, thoughtful attacks on your invulnerability, like the Course in Miracles would say? Rest in the invulnerability. Would invulnerability, knowing itself, ever be afraid of an attack? Would invulnerability, knowing itself, ever be afraid of any attack thought? What would the attack thought be able to accomplish? Absolutely nothing. It's attacking your invulnerability. It neuters it right there and then. Not by trying to stop the thoughts, but by realizing they can't touch you. You can't touch that. What is that song? You can't touch that. A little rapper or something. You can't touch that. You're invulnerable. Passings will occur, but will you pass? No. Comings will occur, but have you come? No. The moment of death won't be experienced by you, but by other people. Deb will know more about me dying than I ever will, because I will die. I won't have any experience of it whatsoever. Shucks, I missed that big event. I don't remember Bert getting born either. Jeez, I missed the two biggest events of the whole scene. What the hell happened? I guess I wasn't that important anyway. I wasn't at all. I wasn't at my birth and I'm not at my death. Then how can I say I was here? Yes, exactly. You mean I wasn't? Yeah. Shit. So just look at thoughts and start questioning the mind, please. Thousands of thoughts come and go, but if they're held by the same little idea, which is their mind, you've got to see the root of the disturbance isn't in the thought, it's in the mind. Yeah? the mind's lending disturbance to all the thoughts. Because you can tell, some thoughts in certain days don't bother you, and the same thoughts the next day do bother you. What happened? Do they change? No, the same thoughts, but the condition of what believes it's the thinker of it has changed. Yeah, that's where the meaning is. The meaning lies in the mind, and it uses thoughts to facilitate something. The meaning lies in the mind, and it uses feelings to facilitate something. The using lies in the mind, and it uses seeing to verify something. Yes? It's not the thinking, the feeling, and what's being seen. It's what precedes it. It's the mind. Yeah? I swear, if I had Marco's thoughts, and there was a little sign saying, these are Marco's thoughts, would I listen to fucking any of Marco's thoughts with such religious devotion as I do if they have my name under them? No, I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. Yeah? Because I hear people talk to me, I'm totally not interested at all in their thoughts about tomorrow. But I seem to be incredibly interested in my thoughts about tomorrow. Where's the difference? They're both thoughts about tomorrow. One is I see as yours, well, fuck that. But mine, let me tell you about my thoughts. I don't want to hear yours, but my thoughts. Of course, they have so much more meaning. You see one example, you can see the whole beast. Yeah. You can see you feeding it all day in ignorance. You're ignoring something while you're feeding the beast. You're ignoring what you are and feeding what you're not. And you'll get what you get. There's no peace in yesterday and tomorrow. I've seen people. I wanted to build a business around this one lady. She could worry about anything, so I was going to put in a paper, send all your worries to Madam something, and she'll worry for you. And you'll get two reports a week on how she's doing with what she's worrying about. You have nothing to do with it anymore. Let her take care of it. She's way more advanced than you. She's been doing this for a long fucking time. So just send it in with $5 for our handler, which would be me. $5, and then Madame will worry about it, and then she'll get back to you. It's like that, Totally devoted to the thought system. Totally devoted to the thought system. She had no idea of any here other than a mental one, which is chock full of there and them. Had no idea. She had lost contact with conscious contact. She was totally in her head. I'd be driving and I would just go like this, like every 3 minutes, and bring her out of it, She, in these days, I just go like this. And she goes, how did I know? How did you know? I say, obvious. I could do it every 10 seconds, I'd catch you. It wasn't any psychic ability. I could just see her. She was gone in yesterday and tomorrow. I mean, I've never seen one go this far. I did see one. I painted this house once when I was young, and it was Mrs. Edelman and the family, and they had a grandma that lived there. She had those ones where you have the pantyhose, but only way up to the knee, and with a black thing, and she'd sit there, watch me paint like this, worrying. I could see her face. It was like hell. She was watching. And so one night I said, I'm going to fuck with her, So we were painting, and we had finished the room. So I left a can of empty paint in the middle of it and acted like I was leaving. And I could see her rotation of her hands went like hyperdrive. She just kept looking at that pot, that can. It's like, what are they going to do? When are they going to? What? They can't leave it. It's ready to blow up. I could see it. And I said, okay, Miss Edelman, don't worry, I'll take it. And then things slowed up a little. And then something else. So it was just insanity, total insanity. Put your foot down. If If you think you have a say, demand your attention back. See what has it brought you? Has it brought you security? Has it really? Its claim for fame is that you're still around. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, most of us have left the survival stage. We're not in existence anymore, where you get a pat on the back because you weren't eaten by a fucking mountain lion today, you know? You just live in San Francisco. Maybe, your latte wasn't full enough. It's not about existing, it's about living, Living. And what do you need to live? You need certain requirements. You've got to have the ability to be here, which you do. You've got to have the ability to break off the channels to yesterday and tomorrow, which you do. So you can see what would happen if I'm just here right now. Find out. And maybe it will grow on you where your interest, and you'll get attentive to it. You'll be interested in it. Hey, I want to explore this idea of freedom. I can't maybe have freedom in the circumstantial level. I have bad legs and this and that. But I like this idea of being free. Yeah? So let me explore it. Let me put some interest into it. Yeah? See where it takes me. For me, what it did is, it's all it needs for something to grow. It's like everything is pregnantly there, and you're the miracle grow. If you put your attention on it, things can blossom. It's unbelievable. If you can put your interest and attention on it, and let it not just like flit around, In other words, you're really excited about Zen on Monday, and then Wednesday the Kabbalah for a few days, and then back to, Orthodox Judaism next week. No. Put it on and just let it go and let it get into the familiarity, of resting right where you are at all times with no requirement necessary. And then see what happens. Find out. And then judge the returns. Am I traveling lighter since I've been coming to these meetings? What has this meeting demanded of you? Absolutely nothing. And yet, what results you can get are pretty fucking huge. With no thought or effort on your part. Just a simple listening, sitting in the space, you leave, and maybe in a period of time you can say, hey, I'm traveling a lot lighter than I was before. Fuck. Why put a ceiling on it? You go, oh, all right, let's move on. No, this is like the skylight's wide open. Yeah? The space of exploration is infinite. You've got the key to the kingdom. It's you. But not as you think you are, or as you feel you are, but as you truly are. The awareness and the seeing of everything else. The seeing of everything else. That's been corrected. You've heard the news. Yeah? The door's already open. It was never locked. Now explore. You won't have any connection to how bad it was. That's why it's great to be in a community where a lot of people are in how bad it is. So I can hear from them what it's like. Yeah. So I can appreciate the relief I've been offered. Yeah. I can really appreciate it because I can see the offering is carte blanche to everyone, but many of us can't receive it. We've been occupied. The parasite's too strong. Yeah? We have no power behind our intentions. We really would like to go to a meeting like this, but we can't end up there. I was reading the 11th Step in Recovery in the 12 by 12. And Bill W. had this writing thing where he never tries to use the same word to explain, to express the same thing. But in this one thing on the 11th step, he used the word channel 3 times. The channel of being connected. Or for me, it's like the hose in the water of that power, yeah? The channel. All our job is to sort of acknowledge the channel, yeah? And no, we don't even have to clean it up. Just our attention is enough light to connect to ignite the larger light, let's say. Or like they would say, a little bit of willingness, or in some terminology like you take one step and the power takes 99 steps. There's always implied that the return is going to be like 20 times greater than the interest. Yeah. So just a little bit of willingness goes a long, long way. That's all it is. So that you realize that power could do for you what you can't do for yourself. But in a sense, you got to stop trying to do things for yourself to initiate that power. Yeah. You have a role in a way. You have a role of turning toward the light, and that beckons the light. Because in a weird way, you believe it's out there, but it's actually coming through you. Like when they talk about the God-shaped hole, that God-shaped hole is a portal. It's not meant to be filled up. Something comes out, yeah? Recognize the hose. When it realizes its purpose, it's usually when the water's moving through it. When you realize what's really going on here, you'll sense that power moving through. Not the body, it is not the body, but a power moving through the body and vibrating it. That's what we are more of that than what it's moving through. Yeah? All right. That's that. Any questions? No? All right.